Welcome everybody. Thank you very much for attending today's lecture session. This is the 31st session of lecture series which we started in the wake of pandemic to give mental sustenance and spiritual sustenance to people and to provide them confidence and happiness to see through these difficult times. We are so lucky to have Swami Vireshanandaji Maharaj, editor Prabuddha Bharati, the very celebrated spiritual magazine started by Swami Vivekananda himself in 1896. Swamiji is present from Mayavati in Himalayas, and Swamiji has agreed to spend his precious time with us today, and he will speak on a very, very modern topic today, living a meaningful life in a digital world. We are waiting with a lot of interest, but just for your information, we would also like to inform you that next Sunday, same time, that is 3:00 p.m. India time and 5:30 p.m. Philippines, Singapore, and Hong Kong time, Swami Medhananda, who is the senior research fellow in philosophy, Ramakrishna Institute of Moral and Spiritual Education, RIMSE, Mysuru, Karnataka, will speak on the Christmas Day on a very Christmas related topic, Sri Ramakrishna, Christianity, and the spiritual power of music. So he will relate with music also. It will be very, very interesting. Please try to join. And also, I would like to mention to you just on the very next day, that is on 26th December, which happens to be Tithi Puja of Sri Sri Ma, Swami Pitambaranandaji will speak on Holy Mother. Please also join, same time, 3:00 p.m. India time, 5:30 p.m. Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong time, just to sort of introduce, though Swami Vireshanandaji is well known to many of you, but for the sake of record, let me introduce Swami Vireshanandaji. Swami Vireshanandaji joined the Ramakrishna Math and Mission in 1992 at Ramakrishna Math, Chennai. He served in the publication department in Chennai Math for 4 years. Then he served in the publication department of Kannada Monthly Viveka Prabha for 8 years, after which he became the editor of Viveka Prabha from 2008 to 2014. Apart from it, he participated in a rural outreach program for students called Jnana Vahini, which means in English the vehicle for knowledge, under which he conducted personality development workshops based on Swami Vivekananda's life and message in more than 400 villages and towns, covering more than 100,000 students, staff, and others. From 2014 to 2018, he became an acharya, that is, a trainer or a teacher in the Professionals Training Center in the headquarters of Ramakrishna Math and Mission in Belur Math, India, and taught Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Indian philosophy, and Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature to the probationers. Then he left for Australia in 2018 to become an assistant minister of Sydney Vedanta Centre and served in its Sydney and Adelaide centres. He returned to India in 2020 and is presently serving as the editor Prabuddha Bharata, the oldest spiritual journal in English in India, started by Swami Vivekananda himself. So we will also request now, before Swami Udaranandaji speaks a few words, we would request our Filipino representative, Attorney Jana, to speak for 1 or 2 minutes, where he will introduce to the Filipino audience the main issue or the topic that Swami Vireshanandaji is going to discuss. So, Attorney Jana.
Yes, magandang hapon po. Good afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa mga nakikinig at sumusubaybay sa ating talk series na hatid po ng Ramakrishna Vedanta Society Philippines. We are indeed very fortunate to have with us this afternoon Swami Vireshananda to speak about living a meaningful life in the digital world, especially now that if not for the pandemic, you will not be gathered here today in a digital platform and uh, listening to the wonderful talk that we'll be benefiting from. And so with that, I turn over to Father Swami Udaranandaji, please. Thank you.
Swami Udaranandaji, mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Jana. Thank you, Mr. Ganguly. I, on behalf of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of the Philippines, welcome you all. We are extremely grateful to Swami Vireshanandaji for kindly accepting our request. Interestingly, few days before, somebody was asking whether this digitization has helped us or not, with our online classes and the things that is going on with laptops and computers and phones. So we were planning to answer, and that time only this reminder came from Maharaj telling that the January issue of 2022 will be carrying this as a main issue. This will be the main focal point of the magazine. So it was very. I immediately requested Maharaj that since you are having a January issue containing, which is the main subject is digitization, so why don't you talk on the subject? And Maharaj also, I am very happy that Maharaj also agreed gladly. So we are very grateful to you, Maharaj, for kindly accepting. And in spite of the fact that there is -2 degrees, it is extremely cold and it is extremely hot. In Manila, we do not have any winter. It is only summer, hot, hotter, hottest. Some rain. So we have forgotten what is winter like. So we are grateful that in spite of such a low temperature and cold weather, you have agreed to kindly speak. And we are very happy. And I'm sure many people will be happy to get information on this particular subject regarding digitization. But thanks to digitization only that we are having this session at first place. I think that is the most positive impact, that we are having these online classes thanks to this digital world. Otherwise, imagine caught in COVID, cut away from the rest of the world, it would have been a disaster. So it is a face-saving scenario that digitization has brought, that we can talk to each other, meet each other, even if physically not present. So with these few words, without much ado, I will request Maharaj to please take over the mic, because I am sure everybody is very eager to listen to Maharaj and not to me. Thank you very much, Maharaj, once again, for kindly accepting our request. Thank you very much, Maharaj. The mic is yours, Maharaj.
Can I start now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine avatara varisthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Dear friends, welcome to you all for this special session, satsang, digital satsang.
We are hung for a moment. I think everything will be okay in a minute or so. Please continue to be attentive. It is Himalayas, Mayavati. So, yes, he is back.
What is meaningful life? Meaningful life is a life with a purpose. Meaningful life is a life with a significance, fulfillment.
Maharaji, kindly repeat your introduction, because you were sort of, there was some internet problem. People could not hear you for first 1 minute.
Right. Okay. Dear friends, welcome to you all. I am very much grateful to Swami Udaranandaji Maharaj for his kindness and love towards me. I offer my Sashtanga pranams to him. I am also grateful to Nirmal Ganguly ji for having invited me to this August gathering, a weekly satsanga conducted by the Philippines devotees. And this topic of the today is a very pertinent one, very relevant and contemporary. And that is why we in Prabuddha Bharata decided in the March 2021 itself to bring out a special issue on the living a meaningful life in the digital world. Now, before going,
কে করছে এটা? কে করছে?
ওই চলে গেল
Suddenly চলে গেল। Swamiji is back. Swamiji is back. So Swamiji is back.
He has to unmute himself.
I-
Maharaj, please unmute. Maharaj, please unmute yourself.
before going to the, am I audible now?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before going into the topic of digital world, it forms the second part of my subject. Let me talk about something about meaningfulness of life. What is meaningful life? Meaningful life is that which has got a purpose, which has got significance, which has got fulfillment and the satisfaction of life. Now, there are two aspects in the meaningfulness of life. What makes the life really meaningful? We have to understand the intricacies of life, and we also should understand what is life and what life is meant for, the purpose of life. And we should have a firm belief that life has a purpose, life has a meaning, life is worth living for. So these two are the common aspects in a meaningful life. In order to elucidate this point further, I would take the help of a simple Sanskrit word, kruta krutya. Krutya means what is to be done. Kruta means he has done it. Kruta krutya means one who has done what is to be done. For example, after a day's work, you come back to your home and say, I have done what is to be done. What was supposed to be done, what I was supposed to do, I have done it. And you will feel satisfaction.
हमारा ठीक है। Please wait. Maybe today internet in the mountain region is not all that good because of extremely cold weather. Please bear with us. Swami will be back in a minute's time. কিছু করো না, তুমি কিছু করো না। Please bear with us. In a minute, everything will be okay. Please wait. Maharaji, I am calling Vireshanandaji, but maybe he is not.
He's not answering, or is it ringing?
It is ringing. It is ringing. It is ringing. Maybe I'll try again. I'll disconnect and try again. Maharaji, you may like to speak in the meantime 1 or 2 minutes. About our programs and our things, and on Saturday and Sunday. So you may kindly speak to the audience on our Saturday.
Interim period I have to manage somehow. Is it?
No, on Saturday and Sunday program you can speak little in greater detail.
I'll ask you, because you have the program in front of you. You speak about that. I will try to call Vireshanandaji.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so since in the introduction we were speaking, so this Saturday we'll have a very, very important session on Christianity on the Christmas Day to observe and celebrate Christmas. We will be having the session by Swami Vireshanandaji Maharaj, who studied in US. He has a PhD from Berkeley. Yes, Maharaj is back. Maharaj is back. Good news. So, yes, Maharajji. You have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself, Maharajji.
I was speaking on Kruta Krutya.
Yes.
Kruta Krutya means the accomplishment, spiritual accomplishment. And I also told you there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Iti Gushyatamam Shastram Idamuktam Mayanagha Etad Buddha Buddhiman Syat Kruta Krutyasya Bharata. If you say yes, in between, I would know that I am in line. Otherwise, I will lose the track. So, somebody can respond to me after 5 minutes or 3 minutes.
I'll show like
And a person who has fulfilled one's duties is called a Kruta Krutya. Then when you feel the sense of accomplishment, you will feel the sense Bhagavan is known according to Shankaracharya. That means when you realize God, when you realize the ultimate reality, when you have the knowledge, and that is what is called ultimate fulfillment. And there is a shloka with regard to that. Sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. And all actions in their totality culminate in knowledge. That means knowledge has got a purpose. Actions have got a purpose. My every action should culminate in the knowledge. It should purify my mind, and it should be enabled to pursue the knowledge of God. Then only the action can be said to have a purpose. It is that what makes our life really meaningful. That is the crux of the karma yoga, So then what is the spiritual fulfillment or the ultimate fulfillment in my life? The spiritual liberation, what we call moksha, is what makes use principle of the Vedanta. With this introduction, I will come to the next topic. The topic would be how to lead a meaningful life. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, please. You are absolutely audible.
Vivekananda says, some of you have read Swami Vivekananda can remember his quotation, the goal of mankind is knowledge, pleasure is not the goal of life. So Swami Vivekananda has pointed out towards the goal of human life. The Upanishads also say, Sa Vidya Ya Vimuttaye. And Swamiji emphatically says, pleasure and we think pleasure to be the ideal to strive for, but it is not so. And what about ordinary life we are living now? Ordinary life is an unrelenting struggle for pleasure and happiness, That is why our lives have become meaningless and miserable. Only because we are striving for temporary pleasure and impermanent happiness. They are temporary, they are transient, they have no value in our life. It is that which is making our life really meaningless and miserable according to Vedanta. Then what is the task before us? We have to make our life really meaningful, the blissful, and Swamiji shows us the way, Vedanta shows us the way, the pursuit of knowledge is the single goal of the life. And Swamiji speaks about the power of knowledge also. Upanishads also speak about the power of knowledge. As I have told you, what is knowledge? It is liberating knowledge. It is not the simple knowledge of the fact and the figures. It is the liberating knowledge. It removes our ignorance. And Vedanta says miseries are due to ignorance, and the dawn of the knowledge will lead to a peaceful and a blissful life. And this is what is knowledge really means. We want such knowledge, and teaching of that such knowledge to the whole humanity is the task Vedanta has taken upon itself. Now we have two ideas. One is the Paravidya, another is Aparavidya. So this you read in the Mundaka Upanishad. What is Paravidya? Superior knowledge. The knowledge through which immortal is known. Yaya Aksharam Adhigamyate. The word Aksharam. Aksharam means immortal. Aksharam means non-perishable. Aksharam means which lasts forever, indestructible. I want that immortality. I want that indestructible reality. And that is the goal of the Vedanta. And let us try to understand what is Aparavidya. The information. So we are full of information about everything on earth. Internet is full of that. That information regarding the facts of life and the body, what is called Aparavidya. We have a beautiful story in Chandogya Upanishad. Narada approaches his teacher called Sanat Kumara. Sir, I have studied everything. I have studied 4 Vedas, 64 Vidyas, and there is no knowledge on the earth which I have not studied, but I have not known my own Atman, the reality. I do not know the God that has made my life really miserable. Please teach me Brahman. Please teach me Atman. He pleads to Sanat Kumara, and Sanat Kumara teaches a great truth that's called Bhuma. Bhuma means the highest. The highest. What is the highest in this world? Money is the highest? I don't think so. The prosperity is the highest? No. Knowledge is the highest? Knowledge of things, science, material science? No. The Sanat Kumara says, Bhuma yad bhuma tat sukham. Wherever there is bhuma, there is happiness. Wherever there is spiritual liberation, Atman, knowledge of the Brahman, there is real happiness and the real bliss. The real bliss and the happiness doesn't lie in the ordinary thing, nalpe sukhamasti, in alpa, in inferior things, in the lower things. We should not find any kind of happiness. And if we find a happiness in the lower things, like money, food, and others, and we are next to brute, there will be no difference between the animals and the human beings. So there is a warning to us. So we should not aspire for only apara vidya. Through apara vidya, the inferior knowledge, we have to strive for the real knowledge. What is the real knowledge? The real knowledge is the knowledge of Atman, through which we can become immortal. And Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, one who knows he is Brahman, Aham Brahmatmi, he will become everything. He will become all. And this is the truth. This is the teaching of Vedanta we have in our midst. And the Apara Vidya I was speaking of, Apara Vidya will give us only learning skills needed for a livelihood. So we get money, we get some benefits, we can live comfortably in this life. If you are not able to live in India, you can go to Philippines and live a happy life. If not, you can jump to Australia. Why not? And if not, to America or England, in search of the comfortable life, a pleasurable life, and you develop new skills and new information you gather, and you become experts in some fields. But Shankaracharya says, what he says, they are of words. There is no stuff behind it. And Shankaracharya says, this assemblage of words, what is called apara vidya, or the inferior knowledge, will never get us to immortality. Immortality cannot be achieved by a mere assemblage of words. For that, we have to approach a guru, a preceptor. We have to give up all our desires, and we have to engage in three kinds of sadhanas. One is the shravana, the studying or hearing the instructions from guru, or studying the spiritual books and contemplating on that, and absorption, the meditation. And this is the three practices enunciated in the Vedantic scriptures. And I am going to turn my attention towards the present day scenario. Before that, I will be speaking to you about knowledge society. You are all well-informed persons. You know what is meant by knowledge society. And there is a definition of knowledge society by UNESCO, And the UNESCO says knowledge societies have the capabilities of identify, produce, process, transform, and disseminate information for the human development. So the information, identifying the information, producing the information, processing the information, transforming the information, and dissemination. For what? Human development. It also gives a social vision, and there should be plurality, there should be inclusion, there should be solidarity, there should be participation, and all these are the ideals of the knowledge society. And there will be provision for continuous learning and developing capacity for each individual, and he can learn throughout one's life. And this is the ideal of knowledge society as per the UNESCO. I think this is the ideal of the digital technology also. And what digital technology, has perforated every aspect of the human life. We have huge information available to us. We can continue to learn. We can continue to assimilate the ideas. The problem before us, or rather the question before us, whether this huge onslaught of information, I am using this word onslaught, it is nothing but onslaught of information, whether it is transforming one's life into meaningful one or not. Dear friends, the truth is that people are getting burdened by this onslaught of information, and we are unable to make any sense of this huge information we are getting through the internet today. And this is the truth. Many of us will not accept the truth, but this is the truth. Digital technology falls short of building a true knowledge society. What is knowledge society? Knowledge society should give its members spiritual wisdom, real bliss, and if that society is the greatest, where the highest truths become practical. If society is not fit for the highest truth, make it so, and the sooner the better. We have the Vedantic truths here, and we say society is not ready to accept it. It is not the fault of the Vedantic truths. Vedantic truths will remain eternal truth. Universal truth to be embraced. If the society is not ready for it, we have to make the society ready for it. We have to prepare society for it. The truth will not bow down to the society. Rather, society should bow down to the truth. This is what Swami Vivekananda says. Unfortunately, sisters and brothers, digital society does not fulfill the requirements of a true knowledge society. Rather, it is diminishing the strength and the ingenuity of individuals. Day in and day out, you are seeing the people becoming mentally disturbed, mentally weak, physically weak, incapacitated people. They are losing their ingenuity. They are losing their original thinking power. The other day, I was speaking on the same subject to the IIT Kharagpur, some devotees. One student asked me how to develop deep thinking. I told him, please switch off your smartphone for a half an hour or so and try to think deeply. Automatically, you will be able to think deeply. This is the only way, friends. Digital technology is not allowing us to think deeply, to feel the happiness, the internal happiness we are able to share with others through human interactions. There is a kind of a bliss within us, every one of us. We feel only when we will be able to meditate and go inwards, that we are not able to do that. Only it is possible to a certain extent if we are able to switch off our smartphone and switch off our mobile phones, switch off our laptops and computers, and sit for meditation for at least 1 hour or so. The study, meditation, all these fundamental disciplines of spiritual life, Vedantic life, we are not able to pursue them because of the disturbance and distractions being created by the digital technology. We are in pursuit of entertainment. We want entertainment every minute through smartphone. We want information gathering. We don't need that information. We don't need the stupid news somebody killed someone. We don't need that till we are going up to that. This is the tragedy of the day. So the digital technology is making human life physically comfortable. I agree to this point. Swami Udaranandi raised this point. This interaction between you and me, I am sitting on the lap of the Himalayas. I do not know how many kilometers away from you, maybe around 2000, 3000 kilometers from you, more than that even. I am able to talk to you. It's wonderful. It's great. It is very physically comfortable. But as far as ethical and spiritual values are concerned, it is creating a vacuum for me. There is no place for ethical values and spiritual values in the digital atmosphere. How much value-driven life are you leading today in the midst of this digital technology? Very, very difficult for us. It is becoming more and more difficult for us. More and more we engaged in digital atmosphere or digital technology, more and more we are losing sight of the eternal values enshrined in our scriptures, Vedantic scriptures, ethical values, the spiritual values. So, Vedanta ethical and spiritual values in transforming the individual. Digital technology is also transforming the individuals. I will be coming to that topic later. So Vedanta also transforms individuals from human beings to divine. But Vedanta rejects the notion. What is that notion? Pleasure and empirical happiness are the essence of human life. And this is the Siddhanta, this is the proposal, this is the central philosophy of the digital technology. That proposal or the central philosophy Vedanta rejects altogether. And Vedanta says if you want to make, or if you want to form, or if you want to create a true knowledge society, and every individual of the society should be a spiritually enlightened person. A spiritually enlightened person alone can make a true knowledge society. So I was speaking of the transformation of the human beings. Vedanta's aim is to transform human beings into divine ones because divinity is the inherent nature of all the living beings. It is the goal of life, the discovery of one's real nature as divinity. I am not even intellect. I am the Supreme Spirit. I am the consciousness which the scriptures call Atman or the Brahman or the God. I cannot be anything other than that. This is what is Vedanta teaches. What is your digital media teaches? The expert says, the digital experts from the UK or US have written media is transforming we the human beings, homo sapiens, into homo connectors. Remember this word, homo connectors. What is homo connectors? One who is always logged on to digital media is called homo connectors. We nowhere find homo sapiens now. We always everywhere find only homo connectors. At least one is connected to smartphone wherever he goes. Even he is walking on the street, even one is driving, even one is eating. Everywhere I want to connect myself to the digital media. So I have become homo connectors. I am no longer a homo sapiens. The author says there is distinction. What is distinction between virtual and reality and real reality? That is fading now slowly. That is becoming blurred day and by day, day after day. The line between The real and the virtual is getting blurred. The two worlds are intervening. So we have flesh and blood. We call ourselves human beings. The human body is the greatest gift to us by God. But we don't want to identify ourselves with this flesh and blood, this human body. We want to identify it with wires. We want to identify it with circuits. We want to identify it with my smartphone or virtual reality or whatever it is. So we have become self, wired self, wireless self, always connected to something. We are in a different atmosphere, virtual atmosphere. Then what is the ramification of this altercation? And there is a great writer called Clifford North, a communication professor from Stanford University. He says human interaction is now being mainly rooted through the digital devices. So there was a notion of connectedness. So I had to be physically meet a person to get connected with another person. There was a definition of friendship. All these are changing very rapidly. So, what is the primary reference point of our life today? The digital media. Without digital media, I will not be able to make a sense of my life. And this is the problem. And our life today has become of digital nature. Some years back, we were living an organic life, and now we are living a digital life. The digital nature of our everyday life. There are two authors, Rosa Lomas and Russell Belk. They have written an article called Living in a Digital World. They say there are signs of living in a digital world. What are the signs? What are the marks of a living in a digital world? We are spending huge proportion, large proportion of our life, of our time online. We have become online animals, online beings. We are adopting emerging technologies more and more, and we want to do things, two or three things, multitasking, and we have become experts in that. So the digital media have been integrated into our daily routine, our agendas. It is shaping, shifting, transforming the way we interact, we play, we shop, we read, we write and communicate. And these actions are entirely different from the way we did some few years ago, just few years ago. So these interaction with the digital media has some serious consequences. I call it as digital delusion. And we have a critical data to prove the catastrophic consequences of the delusion created by over dependence on digital gadgets. You know, 2 billion people are using the internet today in the whole world. So we have 7 billion people population. Among them, 2 billion people are using the internet. Around 5 billion people are using the mobile phones. An extremely dangerous situation is being developed in the America, United States. 13 to 7 year olds, teenagers send around average 110 text messages every day. It has now becoming very difficult to go anywhere without being caught in the digital atmosphere or the digital technology. So the digital technology is shaping every sphere of our human life. I want to quote from Kevin Kelly, who has written a wonderful book called What Technology Wants. He says there are two turning points in the human history. One happened, the first one had already happened 10,000 years ago, when the human's ability to modify biosphere exceeded the planet's ability to modify the human beings. The humans had the dominance 10,000 years back. No longer the nature or the biosphere has the dominance over the humans. Now we have another inflection point, another turning point. The situation has reversed now. The ability of technology to modify human beings exceeds human capacity to alter it. We are no longer able to modify the human technological benefits or human technological effects. We have become almost slaves of the technology we have created. We are no longer able to and one author, Dr. Alan Hunter, emeritus professor of Coventry University, United Kingdom, writes,
Maharaji, we are no longer after that. What did you say exactly? There was some disturbance.
right?
You said one sentence, we were no longer, and thereafter?
Right. We are no longer able to alter the consequences or the atmosphere created by the technology. We have become the slaves of technology. We are no longer able to overpower the effects of the technology. And Dr. Alan Hunter, one of the famous authors, says within a generation, computers a million times more intelligent than every human combined will be developed. And artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence as the most capable life forms on earth. Mind these words, surpassing human beings by human intelligence, I mean artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to surpass the human beings. It will be of disastrous consequences. What is the way out for us? There is only one option for us, whether we should lower ourselves to homo connectors or raise ourselves from being homo sapiens to homo divinus. What is meant by homo divinus? It is a term to indicate transformation of the transformation of the homo sapiens into divine beings. So digital revolution stands for the first kind of transformation. It is transforming homo sapiens into homo connectors. And the Vedanta vouches for the second kind of transformation. Vedanta is trying from immemorial times to transform human beings into divine beings. And what is the pragmatic approach before us? There is only pragmatic approach. We should learn to utilize the digital technology with the spiritual wisdom. So we have to develop digital technology judiciously. That spiritual wisdom should be shaped by Vedantic knowledge or the Vedantic thought. Of course, we live a very comfortable life and very well informed life through digital technology, but we should not fall into the trap, vicious trap. Is only digital, not real. Virtual, not real. Artificial intelligence, be aware of this fact of life. It will help us to deal with many a problem we are facing in this digital world. And what Vedanta teaches is discrimination. I am not supposed to use the word discrimination. The betrayal is an illusion, impermanent. Unreality appears as real due to delusion. Is this delusion, ignorance? It causes untold suffering and deprivation, immense only Vedanta teaching can prevent us and saves us from being swayed by digital experiences. I call it digital fantasy. This digital fantasy is one that is projected on the empirical reality. And Vedanta teaches empirical world is equally an imagination. I will repeat for your benefit. Digital fantasy is projected on the empirical reality. But Vedanta says even empirical reality is also a fantasy, an imagination compared to spiritual awareness. In that spiritual awareness, we will be able to experience absolute reality in a crystal clear vision. And this is what is called exalted awareness, spiritual awareness, Vedantic awareness we have to practice through spiritual sadhana. This is what the Upanishad says. In the Ishopanishad we read, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmanyevanupashyati tatra ko mohaha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha. When to the man of realization all beings become very self, then what delusion and what sorrow can there be for the seer of oneness? When we can see self, God, reality, Brahman in all beings, and then there will be no cause for sorrow or delusion at all. This is what is called spiritual awareness. The spiritual awareness should be the guiding light of our all mundane activities. We should engage with digital technologies. We should live in digital atmosphere, but we should develop the spiritual awareness. And the Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi is ready to help us in this venture. We are going to celebrate Holy Mother's birthday on 26th December this month. And Holy Mother says the best way to develop equanimity of the mind in all circumstances. So this makes one really spiritual, equanimity. And the Gita also says, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. One should realize, according to Holy Mother, the whole world is a dream. Your real tie is with only God. And she also says one should have a true intimate relationship only with God, giving up all worldly attachment. So the second thing Holy Mother teaches to develop samatva or equanimity of the mind is detachment. Always do your duty to others, but love you must give to God and God alone. Worldly love, worldly love always brings in its wake untold miseries. So, in order to develop this detachment, one should practice renunciation, Holy Mother says. Renunciation and detachment should go together. So, in order to develop the renunciation, one should develop discrimination or the discernment. Whatever attracts one's mind should be regarded as transient. One should give all attention to God and God alone, Holy Mother says. The discrimination or discernment requires control of mind. And Holy Mother says clearly, the mind of the aspirant should be gracious to him. One should discriminate all the time. So, in order to develop strength of mind, control of mind, one should engage oneself in japa and meditation. Holy Mother clearly says the name of God is more powerful than the senses, and she guides us. Whenever the mind goes after anything other than God, consider that as transient and surrender the mind at the sacred feet of the Lord. So, in the end, Holy Mother teaches the simplest way of remembering God. The best way is to remember Sri Ramakrishna and meditate on him. So, in these circumstances, we are constantly distracted. Our life is becoming meaningless due to the onslaught of information by digital means. The only way for us is to follow Holy Mother Sharada Devi. In conclusion, I would say, what is Vedanta for us? Are we able to read and understand the Upanishads? No. For the modern world, we have a living Vedanta. The life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda are the Vedanta for this modern age. They are the guiding lights. The darkness is enveloping due to the unbridled offensive of the digital technologies over the human psyche. Sri Ramakrishna is the savior in this really problematic situation. And Sri Ramakrishna says the goal of human life is the realization of God. Unselfish work is only a means. Work is not the end. Pleasure or enjoyment in this world are not the ends, are not the goals of life. God realization alone is the goal of life. That is what you will find. This teaching is what you will find in every page of Ramakrishna Kathamrita or the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So, what Sri Ramakrishna advocated is God centered life. Have God, keep God at the center of your life. And this is the finest way, the best way of leading a meaningful life in a digital world. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for such an insightful and very, very powerful discourse, Maharajji. I think we have got many, many takeaways today. Very important takeaway that you reminded us that we need not be homo connectors. From homo sapiens, we should be homo divine. And you reminded us about the disastrous consequences of becoming homo connector and becoming slaves or human beings becoming slave of digital technology and digital technology surpassing human beings. So one thing, of course, before we start question and answer session, one thing comes to my mind. I was reminded when after 2 years uh, our school children in Maharashtra got back to school, middle school children, and they were very happy to get back to school.
Right.
And they hated the online education, and
It
they
is
felt
so,
they
it is
became
so
worse
in
off. So we
it
would
is so
like
in my home state also in Karnataka. I was reading the reports. In fact, I was seeing the videos. They were in exuberance. They were so much joyful on coming back to the schools to meet their friends and teachers in person. And there is nothing greater than the physical proximity, than the I don't know whether we can call it as digital proximity. Physical proximity is natural and greater.
maybe our children are nearer to God and they are simple, purer in heart. Maybe we, the lesser mortals, are so much impressed and so much kind of bowled out by digital technology that we cannot really think of being without it. It has really overpowered us. But now, sort of, we would like to invite questions. So please introduce yourself.
Before that, if I am permitted, I would like to say one more thing.
Yes, Maharajji.
Uh, Contents of the special issue. This special issue contains articles by more than 13 monks of the Ramakrishna order and technocrats and the philosophers and those who really live in the digital atmosphere. And of course, we have covered the pros also, the advantages of the digital technology. Our Madras Mat, Ramakrishna Mat, has taken a project to evaluate the effects of a pandemic on the school children, rural school children, how they are feeling lonely and isolated, and that through a digital means they have developed an app. So it is a good sign. There are a lot of good things going on in the digital technology, and India is in the forefront of digital technology. India is going to create millions of dollars of what we call prosperity in the coming years. Those are also covered, but especially security and the fake news. We are troubled by the fake news, and our minds will be influenced by the fake news. Once you see a message, you will become agitated. Some fake news, some what you call that message that hurts you, inciting. So always we are on the tenter hooks, emotional. It will make us more emotional. These are all the drawbacks, psychological effects. All these are covered. And especially I want to point out one factor, because we are not reading the physical books, our concentration and the thinking power are dwindling. The digital experience, digital reading is not the same as the reading of physical books. They say physical books will lead to a kind of linear thinking. You are absorbed in the book, but in the digital atmosphere, you are always distracted. You are not able to what you call absorb. You are not able to absorb the essence of the books very clearly, and you are always distracted, and you are always disturbed, and that one particular article covers that also. So now itself, I would make a request to Nirmalji that I would send a text in just to spread out the message of this special issue. You can share with the others within a 1 day or two, and we would be very happy to send the copies to the those who are interested and those who subscribe or those who pay for it. And it is really it's the landmark in the history of Prabuddha Bharata to have brought out a special issue on this subject where it has got a contemporary value. And that's why I have a request. That request, please consider. Now we can go for the special issue. I mean the question and answer.
Sure, Maharajji will circulate, and I'll wait for your note, and then we'll circulate to all our members. Now I would invite questions. T.R. Mohanji, you are very impressed by the lecture. I saw your comments. Do you have anything more to say, T.R. Mohanji?
He is a specialist. He is a friend of mine. He has so many things to say.
T.R. Mohanji, he is in Manila. He is an IITian, senior most IITian in Manila.
Wow.
Maharajji,
Yeah.
my question would have been, is it necessary to renounce digital world in order to
Definitely.
gain meaningful knowledge?
No. Definitely no. In fact, in Ramakrishna mission can be a good example how to live a meaningful life in a digital world. We sannyasis use the digital tools. Many of us have the smartphones, but still we are leading a spiritual life, and our goal is very clear. And as far as myself, I cannot speak for others. As for myself, I know I had this struggle. I am still struggling, but I found a way. So if I want to meditate, I switch off my smartphone. In one of the article, it is said we have published this article in special issue that a foreign author, a Mataji, has written, quoting from an American author, even if you keep a smartphone on in your room, you will be without that concentration power. You will lose the concentration power, or you will lose your IQ. IQ will be very less when the smartphone is on. This is a scientifically discovered fact. So we have to switch off the for smartphones at least for a few hours a day when you want to think deeply, when you want to study deeply, when you want to meditate, or when you want to call on God. So how many hours you spend in calling on God? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Switch off the smartphone or give the smartphone to someone else in your house and don't depend upon it. Don't look at the smartphone. Don't get distracted by beep, beep, beep sound of the, what is that? App. That is notification. What notification? What is hurry? What is the urgency? Calling on God is important, and God is more important. Living a meaningful life is more important than our smartphone or the digital technology. So, what is important? Prioritize. During my presentation, I never propose that you should give up the digital technology. I know very well I am talking to you only through digital technology. But for the digital technology, I would not have been able to speak to you at all. Is it not? So spend some time without digital technology. Switch off your phones, switch off your laptop, switch off your computers, and enjoy the life that you are doing. some years hence. When you are children, when I am children, I used to enjoy the life. I am no longer able to enjoy the life. Our children are no longer to able to enjoy. We were always on the streets when you were children, playing and running, etc. Our children have lost that enjoyment of the nature, to be interacting with the nature, joyful living. We are missing that. Let us go back to that. Let us try to go back at least for few hours, 2 3 hours per day. That is my humble submission.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Maharaj
Maharaj
ji.
ji.
Miss Aparna Dev, do you have any thought or any observation?
Yeah, please. There is a Janna. Yes, yes, ma'am. Please.
Yes, Miss Jana, please carry on.
Yes, Pranam Maharaj, good evening here in Manila. I'm very grateful for your insight. Um, I remember earlier you mentioned about people losing contact. Uh, Similarly, with modern lectures right now, I noticed that some of my colleagues, they just listen to lectures and perhaps absent-mindedly, and then after the lecture, um, I mean, in my profession, after the lecture, they just wait for the PDF or the PowerPoint presentation, or even during the lecture, they just take screenshots, or
Right.
they just, yeah, it's out of convenience that they do it. However, we have to always strike the balance, and I admire you for saying that you don't have to necessarily renounce totally, precisely because if not for the online format, I wouldn't be connected with Ramakrishna Vedanta Society here in the Philippines, and we will not. I will not be able to get connected with my relatives abroad, whom I am not able to see personally. So I think that the digital technology is just practically a means for us, and then we don't have to really renounce altogether, and at the same time we don't have to abuse it, the use of it. So it is also through Spotify that I listen to Vivekavani, the website or the official network, or I think of the is it an official channel of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society in India. So it's very helpful for me. However, there are people that really do things out of convenience only. So with that, I'm just sharing that I also am very thankful to be in contact with you. Thank you.
May I add something, ma'am? Here the question before is whether what is our my priority, whether the pleasures of this world or knowledge of this world, anything connected with world is my priority, or am I going towards God, or am I trying I am trying anything to go towards God? And do I want to realize God or lead a spiritual life, or do I just want to lead a normal life? If I want to lead a normal life, if we want to lead a normal life, digital technology is excellent. But even when you lead a normal life, the doctors and experts have found out that psychologically the digital technology is making human beings mentally weak and physically very, very weak, incapacitated. And all these details we have presented to you, readers, in our special issue. The experts have written about it. So, even for the normal life, it is better we spend some hours of our life, especially when you go to sleep, and we have to, without the intrusion of digital technology. It is better to switch off and enjoy the life as we were doing when we were children. That is my humble submission here.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Part
Thank you.
Partho Mitra, Partho, do you have any observation or any question? You are most welcome. Partho Mitra, if you have any observation or any question, you are welcome.
Thank you, Swamiji. It was a very well thought discourse, and we gained very much from the knowledge which you have imparted. My only question is, in this digital world, how are we going to control ourselves, particularly the various impulses that come through the digitization process? Because you may be concentrating in one area, there could be a message in between coming, and then you get distracted. That is why we kind of hear about this attention deficit syndrome. I think this syndrome is kind of affecting mankind very badly. So, what is the suggestion? What do you think we should be doing to resolve this issue? Thank you, Maharaj.
It's a wonder. There is an old saying: when you are playing, you have to be playing. When you are reading, you have to. When you are praying, you have to be praying. So when we are engaged in a work, we have to give full attention to it and forget everything else. And that's the old teaching our elders or our teachers have given us, and we have to follow that. This is the fundamental teaching of the yoga also. Yoga says we have to gain concentration of mind by controlling the thoughts. The thoughts control is very, very important. If I am unable to control my mind or thoughts due to the intrusion, due to the unnecessary, what you call intrusion or the unnecessary interaction with the digital technology, at least for a few hours in my life, in my everyday routine, I should avoid it at any cost. This only I can expect from spiritual development or in our own human development and psychic development. The problem is we are losing the psychic capabilities we had earlier before the digital revolution. After the digital revolution, and we have become the slaves of information. I want to buy what the Facebook or any other social media requests me to buy. I want to think like those who have sent messages to me. So the human beings are terribly influenced, overpowered, their mind, their body, their attitude, their emotions, everything is being influenced by the onslaught of digital media. If you are aware of the dangers, definitely there are many instances. I have read many stories. In US, many people have stopped, uh, have switched off, or rather disconnected with the Facebook or the Instagram, at least for a few days. So this is the only way. So disengaging ourselves with the digital delusion for at least for a few hours every day will definitely bring about a qualitative change in our life. If we think our life is going nowhere and it is becoming meaningless. So in order to do that, I would suggest a very practical step. Switch off the you switch off your smartphone or give it the smartphone to someone else and sit in a room where there are no digital gadgets, no digital media equipments, and read a physical book of Gospel of Ramakrishna or Bhagavad Gita or any other spiritual book for at least a half an hour. Please try this and half an hour of meditation and half an hour of deep study for 1 hour you keep or you dedicate and you live only in non-digital atmosphere. Non-digital atmosphere. There should not be any interference of the digital technology at all. 1 hour. You try 1 hour. Lot of blessedness and lot of happiness inner happiness will come to you. Inner happiness will come forth from your own being. You will feel that, and definitely it will transform our lives. So one step at a time, at least half an hour, 1 hour, contemplation, studies. It will make a tremendous difference in our lives. Definitely. So God speak to you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Maharaj
you,
ji.
Swamiji. Thank you for those very practical advice. Thank you.
That's what I'm trying, sir.
Thank you very much, Maharaj ji. Aparna ji, do you have any thoughts or any observation to share with Maharaj ji?
No, Nirmalji, thank you.
Okay.
I'm just listening,
Okay.
and I know that we are very much addicted to this instrument. So yeah, but I always feel that some of the time we should not touch the instrument in the daytime and do not go for the WhatsApp and all those things, because this is very, there is nothing actually special, just the forwarded messages and all those things, but you are just going to see those repeated message and everything. So it's better not to connect with that for some time, and you should read something else. Thank you, Maharaji. I will follow that everything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hiranya, do you have anything to say? Hiranya Mukhopadhyay? Hiranya Mukhopadhyay, do you have anything to say?
No, nothing to say, but on a lighter note, Maharaj, on a
Right.
lighter note, if you switch off your mobile for 1 hour, then
Yeah.
immediately after 1 hour, you will get 100,000 complaints from your children, from your wife. Why your phone was switched off?
No. Why you worry about those complaints? Your life is what matters. Your health, mental health, and your physical health, and your spiritual well-being is what matters. You are doing it for your own self, and send a message to everyone that you are switching off the smartphone from 8 to 9 or 7 to 8, morning 1 hour, evening 1 hour. This is the time for me for deep contemplation, deep meditation, or deep study, whatever it is.
That is a very practical suggestion, Maharaj. That could be done
It
easily.
it is the only practical suggestion because I tried it because I am in the business of writing articles or editing articles, and I tried to do I tried to do multitasking and listen to a lecture in the smartphone and try to edit. I couldn't, so I would switch off the smartphone. Then I could write better, and I could edit better, and of course I could meditate or study better. But with the digital technology, sitting in the Himalayas, I am conducting almost 3 classes every day through digital means to brahmacharis. So I am very much thankful for the digital technology for I am able to do that. In the same time, I know the limitations of the digital technology, and digital technology should not interfere with my personal development, spiritual growth, and mental and physical well-being. And that is what I was proposing, that is what I was trying to argue all through my presentation, sir. Thank you very much for your
Thank you, Maharaj.
observation.
I remember, Maharaj, couple of years back, I read a beautiful story in BBC that one US father, he realized that anyone can, again, because of the digital technology, Google it and find the story again, that he found his son has become practically an addict with a smartphone, not just drug, smartphone addiction. So his father did one thing. He had 2 motorbikes and took his son for a long trip in Mongolia desert where there is no internet connection. No internet connection, and they traveled together for I think 1 month or 2 months and came back. And then some journalist and somebody interviewed that son, 18, 19 years old son. He says, it's a new realization for me for traveling in that Gobi desert with my father into mobiles without any internet, days after days. It's a wonderful storyline in BBC.
So here, internet is very unsigned. We are very, very fortunate today to have internet. Of course, there was a distraction, a disturbance 2 times in the presentation. I am really, really fortunate to have uninterrupted internet today during presentation. And we get disturbance even 2 hours before the presentation at 1 o'clock here. We didn't have the internet. So whenever the internet goes off, sometimes it goes off for 2 days. If there is a heavy rain, or the snowfall, we will be cut off from the entire rest of the world here. So those timings, those periods, and we enjoy that period. Of course, for few hours, it will give us what you call restlessness of mind. Once we are tuned to that, then we will be able to enjoy that. Yeah. Definitely. That to practice. Thank you so much.
It is all Thakur's grace that we could listen to this very, very insightful and profound discourse. And the last question, I think we have time for the last formal question. Mr. Kumar, do you have anything to ask, Krishna Kumar?
Pranam Maharaj. Pranam Maharaj, it was exhilarating to listen to your discourse. In fact, you posed the problem and you gave the solution also to the malady, and you gave some practical remedies for digital detox. Because nowadays the literature is flooded on, detoxing so many human systems. But your prescription for digital detox was very, very useful and timely. But one challenge before all of us is that a lot of us are fond of physical books, but most of the bookshops are either closing, a number of books are reducing, and the books that are available are very steeply priced, beyond reach. Unfortunately, we have to again come back to the digital world to see if we can get a chance to see them. But there are barriers in terms of subscription and user charges and so on and so forth. But I think the way out is to ultimately mind should triumph over matter, and I think the path of meditation and the path of introspection, I think perhaps that may be the only way out of our predicament. Once again, Maharaj, thank you so much. Thank you immensely for a very profound talk, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Kumar. Again, internet in the Himalayas is disrupting a little bit. Maharaj will be back, and we need to give him vote of thanks. Very, very pertinent question by you, and very pertinent. Swamiji is back. So Swamiji, Kumar mentioned a very important thing. So could you hear Kumar fully?
With your permission, Nirmal,
you can repeat.
Gist is, Maharaj, first of all, thank you for a very excellent discourse, and you gave a very practical solution for digital detox. And I think the ultimate solution will be how the mind will overcome matter. But there is one constraint which we have to constantly struggle, is that books are not easily available. The number of bookshops are dwindling. Books are steeply priced. So therefore, even to savor what is in the literary world, we have to again fall back on the digital medium. And there again, there are barriers in terms of, user charges and fees and so on. So this was just an observation, Maharaj.
Maharajji, please unmute yourself. Maharajji, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Next 5-6 years, I don't think the books will go away. Hard copies will stay on. Though Prabuddha Bharata itself is going to have a digital only subscription chip within few months. We are also have fallen into the digital ways now. We are not away from that, but still there will be physical books as far as possible for the deep thinking, for deep reading, serious reading, at least for 1 hour, half an hour. Let us use the physical books, and it will definitely helps us and saves us from a lot of distraction. That is my submission. That is my request also.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much, Maharaj ji. It has been really, really very, very insightful and fulfilling time to spend with you. I would now request Hiranya Mukhopadhyay to kindly give vote of thanks.
Before that, I would offer my Sashtanga pranams to Udaranandji. I know him from 96 onwards. We were together for 1 year.
And training center, yes. A long time.
Maharaj was sitting, in fact, I was sitting next to Maharaj in the dining hall, and we used to enjoy. There are many moments, great moments of enjoyment, merry-making at that period. And I always relish those moments. Thank you.
Even I remember you very fondly, yes. Thank you very much for accepting our request. Thank you, Maharaj. It was very enlightening talk, you see. Very good, very excellent.
Thank you.
But because of the technology only, we are live stream our talks through Facebook. What I'm saying is there are so many advantages also, live streaming, and then once your lecture is recorded, it will be again uploaded in the YouTube and for the people to listen afterwards. So anyway, this is it matters whether it is.
It can be edited.
Yes.
It can be edited.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for remembering me, and thank you for accepting our request.
I always remember you.
Okay. And
Jai, you are Jaikar. I used to tell Jaikar, and you would text to me.
Thank you.
Now I would request Hiranya Mukhopadhyay to kindly give vote of thanks. Hiranya.
Yes, Maharaj. Pranam Maharaj, on behalf of all the devotees from Philippines, from other countries, we'd like to convey our heartfelt thanks for this wonderful lecture. And then it is really a very important lecture, and there are a lot of research going on right now on this impact of this digital penetration in our life. There are terms like digital divides. As some studies shows that digital penetration has also created inequality. For example, in Philippines, in the remote areas, grade 5, grade 6 students have no access, so they are going backwards. Whereas the rich people's children in the city, they can do online classes. So a lot of research going on. Nevertheless, Maharaj, thank you very much, and our pranam, and thanks again.
Let us be grateful to Sri Ramakrishna for having given this great opportunity, and there was not much disturbance of the internet, and it is his grace. Let us be grateful to him and be humble to humble to him.
Thank you very much, Maharajji. Without this discourse, we would have been definitely poorer. We feel so happy to have this very insightful tips how to live a better life and how to ensure that digital gadgets don't overpower us, and we are able to have the better goals of life achieved. We will now we'll close the recording, but with your permission, we'll have 5 to 10 minutes of informal session. I will end the recording here. Please give me 30 seconds to end the recording. Thank you very much, Maharaji, and thank you everybody for being so patient and participating in this very useful session. So let me end the recording and come back within 30 seconds.